Jakob. I am a customer engineer at Google Cloud here in Zürich. I don't know where you guys are all from. We can try to interact a little bit through the chat window if you're muted, so feel free to post your locations where you're joining us from. And yeah, I'm going to do a kind of a different presentation today because I wanted to focus on the tool and the demo part rather than giving a pitch about them. I was always wondering what our customers face as a challenge when they approach cloud and when they think about those concepts, containers, serverless, VMs, what can we do? Can you give me a short, just a keyword, what you are working on, post it in the chat window? I don't know if everybody has seen that, so if I post something here and say customer engineering, in the meantime, reducing costs by scaling well, that's interesting. GCP and GKE. I am, by the way, as a customer engineer, a technical person you can speak to when you interact with Google Cloud. I'm always teamed up with a seller, so with the account manager for you. And he would then ask me with the technical questions, and I would pull in more resources from internal. So I like to describe myself as the interface to Google engineering. As you can imagine, I cannot cover all of those cool products that we have, but I know some of them, and I really enjoy my time when I can put together something from the toolbox. All right, so we have ML, GCP, GKE. Anybody touched Cloud Run yet? Or what else do we have? Cloud Function, something that goes in the direction of serverless. Do we have that? If not, you're going to hear about it from me. How many are we, by the way? Not too many yet.
38.
So what Cloud Functions mostly, that's interesting. So you might be able to help me out because I was new at using most of those components, I must say. When we speak to customers, we always face the questions in detail, but it's very seldom that we get the chance to build up a full pipeline where everything needs to be considered. So I'm going to turn off my camera now because I wanted to draw something. All right, so what challenge did I put myself in? I, probably like you, had a lot of time being more at home now during this situation. So this is me. And usually I ride my bike to work every day, about 15 kilometers, and that's quite a good workout for me. And I was a bit scared that if I stayed at home for too long, I wouldn't get that workout anymore. So you may have noticed that many people turn into professional runners, cyclists, whatever. So I chose the running path together with my wife. We had an agreement that every other day, one of us gets to run. And that means I picked trail running, so we have a nice hill behind the house where I was practicing my run. And by doing that, I recorded a lot of data. I have Strava. I like it. So I was thinking, could I look more into that data and find my own insight. That's what we always talk about at Google. You always say you bring insight. But how could it be different? How hard would it be to get to a place where, say, Strava or Garmin Connect are at right now? And what tool from our toolbox can I use? So here is that toolbox. And there are different kind of things in there. Let's just say that's the hammer. Right. So what I needed was a place to ingest. Where would I ingest my data? So how does it enter? When it enters, first of all, I'm sorry I didn't tell you, the data that I'm using are big files. Has anybody ever worked with those? So that everything that ends in .bit. Any Garmin users, Zürich watches? It's basically a messaging format that records all of the events you go through while you're outside or while you're doing an activity, and it stores it in binary format. So what's important is I need to translate this big file into I use the CSV file, so comma separated values, and eventually I thought I was gonna read those values in BigQuery. So the monocular is always our symbol for BigQuery. Now we said we have an ingest part. We have kind of this could be an ETL job in your domain. For me, it's data curation and processing the file. And somehow BigQuery needs to get access to that. Now, why am I saying this? In the end, BigQuery, that's the serverless product that we have. It's something Fabian, you know quite well. Others who might have said ML might have looked at it. Do we have any data scientists in here or people who write SQL? All on the pure server side? That's interesting because you're going to see something from the other side today as well. How do we do that? As I said, I didn't want to touch infrastructure. I only wanted to use services that are available to me on demand. And in the end, I want to be able to look at my Garmin files in private without sharing anything with a company and being restricted in what I can look at. So I want to really be able to look at everything that is in those files. Go a step further. What do we have? You might be familiar with cloud storage, right? So simple cloud storage. That's the file. Where can we write it to? In Google, there is Google Cloud Storage. Abbreviation is GPS. So that is storage part. It's easy to use for this app. It's nice because I can actually drop file into what we call a bucket. I drop the file there, and the bucket then gives me a notification that something new has arrived. So that's already a part that happens without any infrastructure set up on my side. And we could call that already serverless. What do we use for it? We have a messaging service. It's called PubSub, stands for Publisher Subscriber. Not too important to remember those names, but publisher, subscriber, familiar, so we can send messages to that, and multiple people can subscribe to it. So it can be person one listening. Wants to get an email notification. There could be a function listening, or there could be a VM, and they all may have different tasks, what to do with those messages. Not all of them might be interested, but that's what the subscription should solve for. In my case, the first thing I want to do with the file is transcribe it. It's a binary format, and I want to transcribe it into a column separated value file. Now, what would be the nicest way to do this? So, not much code development. What's the easiest tool you could think of to do this part? Can I have a few suggestions in the chat window? I see there is a question. One method per pit file or per record. So there is one method per pit file. That's what I'm doing. Otherwise, we would. This is actually an interesting question because we would blow up our cost a lot. If in a pit file, how many messages are there? I think about when you run like 10K, that could be roughly 3,000 lines. And PubSub is a service that is built by the number of messages. That means you are scaling down the cost if you bring that to one message only. So no suggestions yet, but what I thought as a, so to say, beginner, since they don't get to develop so much code all the time, I thought, let's use Cloud Pump. Just saying here, this is the processor. So what are my options? Pump. Looks nice. The beauty of Pump is that you upload code directly to the cloud, and it's executed there. So no need to worry about any VM, no need to worry about even a container, about building it. There is actually no real build process involved for you. But here comes the drawback. I have a caveat, because transcribing pit files is a very tedious task if you want to implement it all by yourself. There is an SDK coming from Garmin, and that has an implementation in Java. And Cloud Pump has a limited set of languages at the moment. I think there is, what is it, Go, Python, JavaScript. Maybe there are more. See what the message says. Python, yes. Wonderful. But there is no Java. And I knew I needed Java because I didn't have time from last week. When was it? Tuesday or Wednesday then that I heard we're going to do that call. Until now, to do all of the transcribing by myself in Go or in Python, that was just a bit too much. And the libraries you can find out there all lack a little bit of functionality. So I thought, I need this Java sample because it works out of the box, and that's what I want to use. I only want to deploy that and be able to access it through my PubSub method. So this PubSub method should go over here to some Java app. We don't know yet how. What's the next thing you could think of? Where could I use Java and still not deploy any VMs Any experienced users out there? AWS Lambda? Is Lambda with Java support? That's interesting. Run it in a container that's closer. Yes. So running it in a container, Cloud Run, there's the answer. You can use Cloud Run, of course, to run things on your premises or on your own clusters. It's an implementation of Knative that we have here. But using managed Cloud Run is what I wanted to do because I knew I wouldn't have time and would probably not be worth the effort to set up clusters here. So go for Cloud Run. What do we do in Cloud Run? Cloud Run has a job. It takes as an input a container, takes the container and puts it somewhere on the cloud where a user or service account, whoever, can access it. So here it comes back to the user, does what it wants. What do we need for that? Here comes what I struggled with, because Java I used it last time in university, and we always used this nice IDE with Eclipse. Never worried about building any project files, compiling it through the command line. Never happened on my computer. So where do we go from there? I learned there are two nice tools for that, Maven and Gradle. While I've seen there is quite a continental divide between the two. Some use Gradle, some use Maven. Do we have any Java programmers here?
Yes.
Yes. So put it in the chat to say Maven or Gradle. What do you use? Or a third, another tool? SVT, right? Scala as well. Gradle, Maven. Oh, nice. Okay, so that's quite a 50-50. Interesting. So my choice fell on Maven. Why? I found out it is very simple to set up. You can create a project by downloading it from a web page and working on it. So for me, it's always hard to get started with setting things up so that they work later on. With Maven, I really didn't have any problems. I only used that POM file, and it took all my code, compiled it, and it ran. That was good for me. The next thing is, how do you use Java and our Google Cloud library, the client library, in a container? So we said we must use a container. Working with a container is a little bit different than working with a VM. Has anybody of you used Spring Boot before? Yes. That's good. Wow. You would have done this challenge in a minute, I think, because I had to read it all up. But what Spring Boot was good for me, it actually offered all that compatibility with the Google Cloud tool in very few lines of code. I can. No, I don't want to show code right now, but normally when you use different services from the cloud, there is a client to set up for PubSub. There is a client to set up for Google Cloud Storage. There is another client to set up for BigQuery. But for everything, you have to set things up. Then there are handlers, callback handler, whatever. So it gets very, very complicated. In Java, I would say, with Spring Boot, that is more or less also the POM file, the file where all the packages configured to my site didn't change while I was adding functionality and more of those services to my microservice. Happy about that. Okay, I was finally able to build my speech parsing, let's call it CSV tool. It's a CSV tool built in Java, and running in a container. So where does the running in a container come in? Another thing that Maven brings is the option that when you compile it first the code and then package it right into a container. This container can be uploaded to Cloud Run, and from there it can be configured with entry points such as a web URL that you can hit. It's also used by PubSub messages, and then your application can be executed fully autonomously, and it can work on the messages that it gets. So, looking back, what did we want to do? I said, I want to drop a file into a bucket. It should automatically call my CSV tool, and eventually my last goal was look at the whole thing. So, fit to CSV to analysis. Let's add this here. We are now here. I'm drawing the line between of CSV or CSV because, of course, the CSV tool that I use doesn't put the data into the format that my BigQuery can read. So there's yet another chance for me to test another serverless function there. I started with Google Cloud Storage, the storage bucket, storage. Then I did Cloud Run. This. I have a CSV, and I need to transfer the CSV once again So this is dropped into a bucket again, where it sits. This bucket sends another message, and the message gets picked up finally by a cloud function. Because what I'm doing now in this step is not too hard. I don't need any particular language. I could have chosen any one. I chose Python. What this function now does is remove the lines of code that I don't need and transform the data. So you could say that from here on, we are kind of in an ETL job. So extract, transform, and load. We extract data from a zip file coming from Garmin. We transform it first into a CSV. We should skip the load because the load comes later. And enrich it. For example, what is enrichment? I mean, there are timestamps that are in the wrong format. I want to put them in the right format that BigQuery can pick them up right away. There are values that have an offset. It's just how my watch works. And this is what you need to know when you want to look at it later on. So, for example, the coordinates of your run would a scaling by 180 divided by 2 to the power of 31, so something like this. You have to look that up somewhere, and before you can visualize everything, of course, those values need to be in the right place. This is what is now being done in the cloud function here. The cloud function does one last step. It drops the results again into a storage where BigQuery has access. So I still haven't had to set up a cluster. I haven't had to set up VMs. I haven't had to configure any network here. It was only using services that work right from my command line. And I did all that development on a tiny shell that's actually sells a container on my Pixelbook. That was one limitation I had. I didn't want to bring in a new IDE or anything. I thought go as minimal as possible. Now, where are we? Should we make a small test of what we have so far? I'll go back here. Do we have any questions so far? How I compose the cookies? What do you mean by composing? That is a good question. You mean packaging the code, compiling?
Yes, the question was relating to, so we see a lot of pieces here on the picture, like the storage, the Cloud Run function, and again, a storage bucket, I guess, and PubSub in between, I think.
Yeah.
And how do you piece together, how do you glue together these pieces? Is it code? Is it like, do you do something in the GUI? Or how do you put them together?
I did it in the GUI. So this is what your partners here at 9 usually do all out of code. I know they have a very strict infrastructure as code policy and this Terraform. I am not as experienced with Terraform yet. Also for a small demo now, it didn't make much sense, so it was possible for me to use the GUI. Let me show. So if I go back, so now looking at it from the console, how we call it, the general user interface for Google Cloud. You have the different services on the left. What I did, I used this pin option, pin the services that I frequently use to the top. This is the most important thing for me because normally I spend most of the time looking for them down here. You need a special service and you scroll through everything. Hit them the moment you use them the first, and then unpin them if you realize you're not using them now. For example, I haven't used network in a long time, haven't had a network demo in a while. We can go up. So in the storage, the Google Cloud Storage browser, we see which buckets I have. I created them manually. You can do that here with create button, or you can have the command line to do that. And the 3 buckets that are important for us are those. Pit upload is where I upload my original file. Pit CSV is where the intermediate product sits, and then pit BigQuery source is where the CSV sits when it's ready to be visualized in BigQuery. That's too small. Sorry. So just delete those. You know what? I think it's easier if I share all my screen. This is where I have my code for Cloud Run. Main logic is in here. So I want to show you a little bit that I didn't promise too much. Here you see those resources. Those are pointers or handlers to buckets or files on the Google Cloud storage. I didn't have to set up any client, check if things were there. Those come right when my container starts. So please excuse me for the many comments. I commented a lot of things out that I tried and things. Wanted to show what the main message is that processes storage event. So here in the request, a PubSub message arrives. I get the body of this message, printed if there was an error. I had to implement something to get the attributes. That was only because I didn't want to include much more or many more files from external, so that most of it is really in one screen now. What do I want to know? I want to know where what the bucket is the file is coming from. I want to know what its name is, the object ID, and when it was processed. In here, I get one storage resource for the input object and one for the output. New tab. Don't need to look at those. Anything interesting here? Yeah, the last one is simply my tool, CSV tool. Takes two streams, one input stream and an output stream, and does all the processing. And so I wanted to show you this because this is really the only thing that I'm doing to integrate with the code that comes from Garmin. I was able to use a very functional set of tools right out of the box, almost, and plug this into the example that I found for Spring Boot and use it. I don't want to compile right now because it takes a little bit. It looks like this. Very simple line. And to deploy it, I have this part. Cloud run deploy. Most of our commands are structured in a way that there is vcloud, service, action, and then your arguments. My service is going to be called Spring GCS PubSub demo, and this is the image that's been created by Maven on the go. Now it's running already, so I want to try. Yeah, so here is an activity file from a run I did on May 7th. I want to copy this from a local source to the upload. See how that goes. Let me refresh this part. Yes, so there's that. Now, if you were wondering, Daniel, how we put things together, I set up the PubSub topic from in here. There is my run topic that I set up. This topic has a subscription. It goes down here. Whoop, that is a little bit small. Sorry for that. I think I used that one. Yes, my run subscription. That is the subscription that my Cloud Runner is using now. Do we have any messages here? No, I don't want to replay. Okay, looks good. Now let's go over to the Cloud Runner itself. If we're back here. Yeah. Excuse me?
I just said thank you.
All right. Right. So this is the interface for Cloud Run. We see there is one service deployed. It's in US East region and was deployed by me. It looks good. Let's go into it. My last update was 18.01. So I am now curious if that works. I destroyed something of my demo just because I wanted to make the files look prettier. That's why you saw a lot of comments in there. I did a git checkout of an older version that worked. Now let's look back at those. There was something. Binary file was decoded. That's good. I have a little bit of an issue down here. See. Okay. There is a code that I can use. It's, by the way, quite handy to have that at hand with PubSub messages, you can create an infinite loop, if you will. And I think this is what happened here. What I'm doing is I look for the subscription, and oh, it failed. That is very interesting. Maybe that was just the wrong one. Okay, we can skip that part and use another one that I have prepared already. So I have a process file that's sitting in here. Go back to the storage. This is where my CSV files are. Those I have already processed. Let's see. Oh, my May 7th file is actually up here. That's good. That's from right now. I don't know. We'll have to debug that later. But you see it landed. Now let's see if it made its way over to the Cloud Function. Ooh. Uploaded results. So that looks promising. This is my Cloud Function that picked up the intermediate file from in between, and it uploaded the results, hopefully into the last of our buckets. Which is BigQuery source. Now let's see. Yeah, could be. So there is May 7th, done just 5 minutes before. Looks like I've talked a lot on the way. These are now all plain CSV files. Few of them collected here, so that's 5 activities in total, and you still haven't seen anything. But that changes. That's the good thing about BigQuery. You can use Google Cloud Storage as an external data source. But this table here is actually a table that has no content. It only points to Google Cloud Storage. And I can see with this simple query how many different updates I have in here. Oh, there is. A17 doesn't look to be in there. And we have that. So we have a few files ready. These are the number of records. So before you asked me about how many records or how many messages do we send, one per record or one per file. It's one per file, so 4 messages were sent here times 2 instead of roughly 10. That was the easier part. What can we do from here? Of course, we have the BigQuery interface where we can make those queries interactively. Here, I have a query that that computes the total running distance per week and displays it in the end. So now I see in week 20, it's about 38 kilometers, week 18, 18 kilometers, week 19, 16 kilometers. That's quite good for me. Now, I know we are in a circle where we can deal with numbers that are written in the table and not be displayed in such a pretty way. If you need them in a pretty way, there is Google Data Studio. It's a reporting tool, so you can connect this with BigQuery as well. In here, you see a map for data that I wanted to display. So here I select runs only, May 8th. What did I do on May 8th? Here's the mount behind our house that I told you about. Did a run up there, and on the left side it displays the heart rate. Down here is the graph for the individual weeks. Let's see if we want to update this. Because we added some data in between, yes, now there is the other week coming up. Yes, I'm very happy that this is working now. You see, we added a file, it picked up the other week, and I can change the activity from up here, the heart rate from get a different run that I did. Not too easy to display. Maybe I did. Oh, that's because it's two of them. Makes it harder. We drove home to my parents' house, which is in Germany. Now, please select only one. Okay, another run, same mountain. Interactive. So if you want to present the data that you just generated to somebody who wants to get a better look, it would just only want to see numbers printed on paper. Here, this is a nice interactive way how you can explore data entered on BigQuery. This is it with the demo. Let me go back where we came from. Yeah, rating and rules. That's true. I really like this area. So I'm happy to be back with my face now. I want to summarize what we did. I promised you we wanted to deploy our own analytics app completely on serverless structure. We use Google Cloud Storage for the immediate results, and for the ingress, we used PubSub, our messaging service, for exchanging messages between the steps, and we used Cloud Run as a serverless option to deploy a Java app that had stored code that was already working. And I felt from customer discussions that I had, it could be something familiar to a few of you. Many people are still using Java. Some don't like it, but they say, oh, this has always been developed in Java and we don't want to change it. And look, now we have to modernize our infrastructure now, but there's this one server where all the code runs on. At least this one Java app that was developed in 1980. We still need it. But you can put it on a Cloud Run instance and still run the same thing in the cloud and without worrying about the underlying infrastructure. Then we had a quick look at Cloud Functions as yet an even simpler way to take advantage of serverless. And in the end, I show you BigQuery, our petabyte scale data warehouse with an external data source. So we didn't load anything explicitly into BigQuery. We only looked at things that were already sitting around in a Google Cloud Storage bucket. And finally, we saw the results as a report produced in Data Studio. Now, don't get me wrong. I think there are reporting tools that are probably more sophisticated, but for many things, you will have a lot of quick fun with Data Studio combined with BigQuery already. And to give you a little bit of an idea how long it took me to get really from almost zero to this step was less than a week for sure. I might ignore the hours during the night, but so tonight I will go back to bed a little earlier. It is a bit of a learning curve when you start with everything from scratch, but I think none of you really have that challenge when they're developing code in a daily business. So you probably get up to speed a lot faster than I did now. Yeah, go ahead, try it. Now is the time to ask questions. So we can have a few.
So there are only 2 questions in the chat, so we're a bit over time, so I suggest to maybe shortly answer them,
Yes, okay.
and then we move on.
Want to know as an alternative? Oh no, me. Suppose we had where the CSV step, you can access the storage directory from Cloud Run. That is true, but my Cloud Run application was written in Java. That's more complicated for me to program from there. So I preferred reusing a Python sample that I had for reading and writing CSV. Simple as that. Why not using Dataflow as an alternative? Dataflow is a perfect alternative. It's a little bit overkill here because Dataflow is good for high volume stream ingest where we have to scale a lot better. I mean, Cloud Run doesn't have as much memory available to you. You can't configure that. You can configure that all in Dataflow. So I would just say Dataflow is the tool you use when Cloud Run is not sufficient anymore. Good. That was it.
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Jakob. It was very interesting. Even if I'm also a runner, and so I feel feel interesting to maybe also try it a bit there, even that I'm not anymore that deep into tech. So then, by the way, I'm also on Strava. And I think if you have any more questions, you can find Jakob on LinkedIn. And I suggest now to move on to Cyril and Nick.